City of Romulus City Council regular meeting for Tuesday, September 8th, 2015. The roll will show that all are present with the exception of Mayor Pro Tem John Barton.
And he's excused.
So noted. Tonight's council meeting agenda is as follows. Number 1, agenda, 2, minutes, 3, petitioner, 4, chairperson's report, 5, mayor's report, 6A, clerk's report, 6B, treasurer's report, 7, public comment, 8, unfinished business, 9, new business, 10, communication, and number 11, adjournment. And a motion would be in order to accept the council meeting agenda as presented.
So moved.
Support. The motion to accept the agenda as presented by Councilman Kraut and supported by Councilwoman Makowski. Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Number 2, under 2A, approval of the minutes from the regular council meeting held August 24th, 2015.
So move for August 24th, 2015.
Support.
The motion is to approve the minutes of August 24th, 2015 by Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
And Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion is carried.
There are no petitioners on the agenda. Number 4 is the chairperson's report.
Well, Mr. Barton is not feeling well today, so I have to run this meeting. And I thank you for all the help I can get. We had a meeting earlier, talked about, we had executive session, and then we had financial report from the treasurer. Do we have any questions on that? That's all that I have for the chairperson's report, with the exception of Robin Underwood from the Wayne County Clerk's Office. Would like to come up to the microphone, please?
And thank you for receiving me, to Mayor and City Council persons, Madam Clerk, and Ms. Barbara, and to the citizens of Romulus. I'm here on behalf of Kathy M. Garrett, Wayne County Clerk, and she asked that I stop by just to share with you some changes that are occurring with the Wayne County Clerk's Office, the Vital Statistics Division. I left some flyers in the back, and each of you, I left some with Madam Clerk to pass to you that they'll be closing daily for lunch from 11:30 to 12:30. So if anyone is interested in any records, such as birth and death certificates, marriage licenses, assumed names, notary publics, and concealed weapons, you can go to downtown to the Wayne County Clerk's Office, and then they can accommodate whatever needs that you have. Also, the Wayne County Clerk's Office is now issuing Detroit's birth and death records. It used to be under the city clerk's offices. Now Wayne County is handling it. So I also left a notice for your information. And there's also a card with Madam Clerk Garrett, Wayne County Clerk, and any numbers that you may need in the event that you need to call the Wayne County Clerk's Office. I appreciate you for having me and receiving me, and thank you.
Mrs. Choke, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm wondering, does Wayne County get involved with issuing veterans cards?
I'm not sure of veterans cards, but I can find that information out for you.
I
And I
just,
can give the clerk's office the information.
instead of having to carry your discharge paper, a big copy, I've seen people that have verified their veterans cards, they put in their wallet.
I'll find that
All right,
information
please.
out for
Thank
you,
you.
and I'll get back
you.
with the city clerk. Okay? Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you for receiving me.
Thank you, Ms. Underwood. Do we have any, anything
I have
else?
one more thing
Yes.
to bring up. At the last meeting, August the 24th, I wrote myself a note to bring something up, and I forgot to read the note. So I'm going to, now I have the note, but the note is that Ken and Linda Chokes on August 24th were married 58 years.
Yes, we were.
They were, and
Congratulations.
I wrote this note and forgot to look at it. After I got home, I had it, but they were married 58 years on August 24th, and I compliment them
Yes.
on Ken being such a good husband.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. He has been wonderful. All right,
That's your big ditty.
next we ready?
If I may, Madam Chair, we
Yes.
need a motion to accept the chairperson's report.
So moved.
All right.
Support.
All right, the motion to accept the chairperson's report by Ms. Makowski, support by Ms. Roscoe. Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you.
Number 5 is the mayor's report.
Good evening, council, treasurer, clerk, deputy clerk, and audience. Tonight, quote I brought goes as this: "Take time to appreciate employees, and they will reciprocate in 1,000 different ways." And that's very true. Tonight, what I wanted to do is, we have our July employees of the month that I wanted to present the resolutions that council has done. And the first one that I want to get into, the first category would be for employee Gary Harris. And I'll read the resolution and ask Gary to come up and give this to him. And it goes as this: whereas Gary Harris began his employment in the city of Romulus January of 1998 as a clerk in the police department. Whereas in 2002, Gary was transferred to the finance department, where he worked as utility billing specialist until he accepted the position of the permanent permit technician in our building department in December of 2014. And it goes on to say that a copy of this resolution will be presented to him, and he's being recognized as an employee and showing his hard work and dedication by the Romulus Legislative and Administrative Team for the month of July in 2015. And Gary is a guy who, come on up, Gary, if you could, by the way, and you don't have to give a long speech, I just want to give this to you and say a few things. We've got your PowerPoint, Roger's going to bring it up. A couple things about Gary that, having worked with him here at City Hall and then also at the building department, we talk about customer service. He lives it. He does customer service. So when he was here, the way he would work with internal customers and external customers, and everything I've heard so far at building, been positive. So we appreciate that about Gary, and again, recognizing him for everything he does. The next one I'd like to get into is Justin Laskaska. Now, Justin was on a job till midnight last night and then back in at 6 this morning. So we said, you know what, don't worry about coming to the meeting. We'll read your resolution and get it to you. But Justin Laskaska, he has been employed at the city of Romulus since August of '98 as a labor and trades employee for DPW. In 2008, he began working in his current position as equipment operator. And again, recognizing him, the verbiage that council signed, and showing our appreciation for all that he does. He's been a wealth of knowledge. He's a guy that, not a man of a lot of words, but when he has words, they're very thought out, very well timed, and very much has meaning behind them. So we'll make sure Justin gets this, and we congratulate him also. Public safety, I don't think Sergeant Sawa could make it, he could not. Roger Saw was recognized for the month of July. He started his employment in Romulus in 2001, in July, as a police officer. Many of you were aware that when he was promoted to a sergeant and has been serving in that capacity and has done a great job. Another one of the shining stars over in PD. And one thing that I want to say about Roger is that he's has natural leadership abilities. You see him take charge in areas that he works on. He's been working behind the scenes in a lot of different areas and always steps up, does a great job. And I think this is, all our employees are important. We're singling out some on these, and I know some people think, well, Burkhoff, we've got this one and that one. all our employees are important. But, we have people, and especially right now, what's going on with public safety and first responders, we need to have their back, and we need to show our appreciation for them, for the tough job that they're doing. That's why we started this Citizens Academy, to raise their awareness of what they're doing. And I tell you what, it's important to have the respect of all our first responders. So we'll make sure that Roger gets a copy of this and is officially designated as the employee for public safety for July. So thank you to all those, and thank you to council for your willingness to do those resolutions and support it. Next up, I would like to have Mr. Dennis Davison please come up and talk about, we have so many activities, and I'd like him to kind of highlight a few of those just so we don't miss any on the calendar. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, Councilman Wadsworth, you can get your VA card. I have one at the VA hospitals, either in downtown Detroit or out in Ann Arbor. If you want, I'll accompany you. Just take your paperwork out and they take your picture.
Thank you.
Get your card. So, also another thing that happened this past weekend. To my knowledge, this came true. I haven't seen the pictures yet, but our VFW was selected for the third year in a row to lead Governor Schneider across or onto the Mackinac Bridge with their honor guard. So I think that's a big thing for them, and we're going to try and get some video on that and get it on Channel 18. Sounds in Downtown, presented by the DDA, wrapped up its season with a salute to the disco era with the sounds of Boogie Dynamite. We had over 1,000 people during these 8 events, over 400 on Romulus alumni nights. That was just a real good series of musical events for us in Sounds of Downtown. Clement weather washed out the last of our 4 free youth days. However, we were able to reach out to over 150 youngsters during this summer's program. We had an amazing turnout for the grand opening of the new dog park at Elmer Johnson Park. Last Tuesday, over 200 people and their best friends attended. We had a K-9 demonstration featuring our own Romulus police and their talented dogs, and many other events. Just found out today from Chief Settles that 22 Romulus citizens have registered for the City of Romulus's Public Safety Citizens Academy. There's room for more. I guess they're going to take more applications if you register this week. So anybody that wants to get in on that, please contact the police department. Upcoming events coming up, of course, is the 18th Annual Pumpkin Fest, the weekend of September the 18th. The festival will, as usual, kick off with the Romulus Rotary's Parade of Lights. The route will be the same as last year, starting behind the high school, leading up to Tobine Road, to Shook, up Goddard, through downtown Romulus on our hopefully new completed downtown street, or at least part of it, and ending up at the Progressive Hall parking lot. Farmers Market will continue on Wednesdays from noon until 6 through October the 14th. The Senior Resident Home Makeover Project had their basket raffle, and that was held this afternoon in the mayor's office. And the first winner was Suzanne Marino, but she had other plans, I guess. Tim Keys also gave it back. Then Ellen Bragg won it, and she found out that she had to take me to the game, so she said, "Nah, I'll give it to somebody else." Brian McNeil said he had Tiger tickets. So former city employee Naomi Watt won the U of M grad package, which includes 2 tickets to the Michigan-Oregon State football game on this coming Saturday. Section 34, row A, front rows, and they get 2 Hardball extra large T-shirts. I don't know if you wear a small, then you're going to have your blanket for that day. Other things coming up, the senior resident home, which I just talked about, we raised over $1,000 for that project, by the way, and so I want to thank everybody who bought tickets for that. The monthly Greater Romulus Chamber of Commerce luncheon will be held on Tuesday the 15th, a week from today, featuring our own Director of Public Services, Bob McCrate. He will be the guest speaker, and that will be held at the Marriott Hotel. Registration begins at 11:30. The Pumpkin Festival kicks off on the 18th at 5:30 with the band Heinz Drive. And then, of course, will be bingo at 6 o'clock to benefit the animal shelter, and the bingo will go on for the whole weekend. Romulus Rotary's Parade of Lights will commence at 8 o'clock, starting behind the high school. And there will be many activities on Saturday. We'll feature a car show, 5 live bands, and ending up with our own Julian Lambert and his dueling pianos at 11 p.m. in the Pumpkin Pump. And there'll be many more activities on Sunday. Other events on the horizon are the annual Romulus Health Fair at the Senior Center, the Romulus 2015 Paint the Town, in which a volunteer will paint the home of a disabled senior veteran. And then coming up will be a family fun night sponsored by the Community Services Department, the Historical Park, on October the 9th. Wednesday, October the 14th, Romulus High School baseball and softball field scoreboard dedication at 6 p.m. We're raising money for that. We're pretty much on target to get at least the baseball scoreboard done. Hopefully we'll have that ordered this week so it can be in time for homecoming. And then on Friday, October the 16th, will be Romulus High School homecoming. Wednesday, November the 11th, Veterans Parade, 9:15 will start, ending at the Veterans Wall here at the Municipal Complex for the dedication of newly installed bricks. The Veterans Memorial Brick Sale, and I believe I talked to Stacy today, and we've got 20 orders as of right now, and probably have a couple more coming in, so we'll be doing some brick engraving, and then we'll be able to show those off on Veterans Day on the 11th. The brick sales are continuing to go on, so they're sold at 3 different spots: the Treasurer's Office, the Chamber of Commerce office, and at the Veterans VFW Post 9568 over on Huron River Drive. And for all these and other events, tune in to Romulus Community TV, Channel 18. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. So that was Naomi White who won the raffle. Excellent. Okay, thank you. So, Romulus employee. I did want to also highlight one thing Dennis talked about, which was the dog park. This is the second dog park, and we got a real nice write-up. This was the News Herald did a complete spread of people that attended and some of the activities, and took the press release, and I thought did a real nice job explaining it. I had a person ask me, they said, Mayor, why do we do ribbon cuttings and rededications for parks and for dog parks? And I said, here's why we do it. In the visioning process, we heard some things from our residents, and we just recently went through and did some branding and marketing. And one of the things in the recap we got back from feedback that came from residents that these companies that work with us talk to our residents, hundreds of them, is that we need to make sure that we're celebrating small victories when we have things like this. If it's a development, if it's a park, if it's an event, they described it as our people are thirsty for something at the cemetery, a flagpole, or ceremonies. They want to know what's going on. And so, and I've said, you've heard me say in my State of the Cities and at these ribbon cuttings and at visioning, this is not about Burcroft, this is not about somebody getting credit or council or anything else. This is for our residents. So I was blown away. We had a real good road meeting here that evening that Mr. McCrate and I worked on rolling out to boards and commissioners. And when I pulled into Elmer Johnson Park, I mean, there was I couldn't find a parking spot. I mean, it was packed. We had more people and dogs than I thought we were going to have. Thank you for Animal Control, JD, and Bonnie, your team did a great job. But that's why we do it. We're there to celebrate and to communicate with the public and to include them in that process. That's what's making our parks a success. That's what makes our cemetery a success. That's what's made our veterans program and outreach and others. So that's why we celebrate those. So thank you to everybody who came out to support that and brought dogs. And we're going to continue to celebrate as we have victories. So thanks, Dennis, for recapping those, and thanks for the update. Now for the normal business portion of the meeting, I do have a couple requests that are before you. The first one you have is 5A, and that's just asking for an authorization to authorize the Romulus Fire Department to dispose of Rescue 4 through the Michigan Intergovernmental Trade Network. a virtual auction, and that's in accordance with our city property disposal policy.
So move, Mr. Chairman, to dispose city property within the fire department and refers to rescue number 4.
Support.
The motion is by Councilman Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Makowski, to authorize the Romulus Fire Department to dispose of fire truck known as Rescue 4 through the Michigan Intergovernmental Trade Network virtual auction site, MITN, in accordance with city property disposal policy with a disposal fee of $6. Any discussion? Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Makowski?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo? Yes. And I vote yes.
Thank you, council. Next item is 5B, and it's just a request to concur with the administration, authorized approval for the fiscal year 14-15 encumbrances for supplies and services in the amount of $484,384.76.
So moved. Support.
Motion is by Ms. Makowski, supported by Ms. Roscoe, to concur with the administration and authorize approval of fiscal year 2014-2015 encumbrances for supplies and services in the amount of $384,384.76. Ms. Makowski?
Discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you first.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
I have a question. First of all, from what, I am a little confused, and I just want clarification. This was stuff that was ordered for the 2014, 2015 that did not come in, so therefore it gets transferred to the 2016 budget?
Correct.
The money also gets transferred over? Okay, and then my next question, this just struck me as a lot. I just was looking at this, $2,500 for desks. I think that's just excessive. I don't know, maybe I'm so used to sitting in the economy ones at the school there, but I wondered if the desks were something special other than a desk. I mean, I just think it's a lot of money.
I don't know what line item that was for. We can find out.
If I'm wrong, just,
Suzanne, do you know? That was, okay.
there's two of them here, two desks. They're both about $2,500. I just think it's excessive.
One's for the treasurer, one's for the clerk, it says.
Madam Chair, just want to, if I can, through the chair, is that those, it's not just a desk, it's
That's what I was
actually,
wondering.
it's supplies. I mean, it's, the shelving and filing cabinets and things that
Thank you.
we have to replace. It's not just a desk,
Thank you,
trust me,
Ellen,
it's
because I
not.
thought, that's a lot
Oh,
for
no,
just
no,
a
it-
desk.
no, it's not just a desk. That's something like that, I'd be afraid to use it if it's not, it's a whole unit and cabinets and things that
Okay.
was badly needed in both the treasurer's office and the clerk's office.
Thanks for that clarification.
And if I may, this desk will be used long before.
But it's not just a
The
desk.
desk that she has now has been here since 1973. So whatever it cost, it has certainly outlived its time. All right, any other discussion? Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
And Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I called you.
That's okay.
Thank you for your help. I need
You're
it.
welcome.
Thank you, council. Next item is 5C. What you have before you is just a introduction of budget amendment 14/15-26, and that's to recognize additional penal fines, or revenue from penal fines for the 14-15 fiscal budget that we just ended.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? Motion is by Ms. Makowski, supported by Mr. Kraut, to introduce budget amendment 1415-26 to recognize additional penal files revenue for the 2014/15 fiscal year and to cover the 2014-15 fiscal year budget overages. Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Ruska?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion is carried.
Thank you, council. Next up is 5D, and that's a request to move unused funds out of the state conference area in the budget that were approved for the 14-15 that actually will occur in the 15-16 year.
So move, Mrs. Chairman, for the budget amendment 14/16-4 for the general fund.
Support.
The motion is by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Abdo, to move unused funds from out-of-state conference that was budgeted and approved in the 14-15 fiscal year that actually occurred in the 15-16 fiscal year. Any discussion? Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Council, last item for action is just a request to cover additional projected expenses for the 2015-16 fiscal year as approved by the library board on August 19th.
So moved.
Support.
This is motion by Ms. Makowski, supported by Mr. Kraut, to cover additional projected expenses for the 2015-16 fiscal year as approved by the library board on August 19, 2015. Any discussion on that motion? Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you, council. That concludes my report.
6A is the clerk's report. Under 6A1, for first reading, is an ordinance. We're asking council to adopt an ordinance to provide for a procedure for council to consider vacation of a street or alley.
So moved with a question. Support.
All right, motion is by Ms. Makowski, supported by Ms. Roscoe, to introduce an ordinance that will provide a procedure for council to consider vacation of a street or alley. Any discussion?
Question.
Ms.
Yeah,
Makowski?
just a question to better understand this. Well, of course, this was very clear, but does this resolve where we couldn't figure out what percentage it would take to close a road or?
Yes.
Okay, for parties or whatever.
Yes, and if
Okay.
I can, through the, Madam Chair, just want to add is that we had our city attorney, Steve Hitchcock, kind of go through this procedure. He has a lot of experience in this area, and what this provides, again, is a document, so for council, that we actually have, you know, what the procedures to follow moving forward.
And through the chair, just a
Yes.
quick question, or comment. Actually, I don't know why I said close it for a party. It's not for a party. Just, I would like to close it for a party, but I understand what it's for. Thank you.
Any other questions? I have a question. Should you have the, that there's a fee in here?
He can add that. I mean, you know, there is a fee, but and that's on the fee schedule. We just needed something in
Okay.
writing for procedure-wise, so that we're all on the same
And
boat.
this is to include all the steps necessary? Should the portion be added where this is forwarded to the various departments for investigation and writing as to whether or not we should actually proceed with this to council?
Right. We can add that. That's just, you know, that's part of the procedures in processing the request for alley vacations. That's, you know, all included with, you know, collecting the fees and the petition and the whole thing. But if you would like that included in this ordinance, we can do that,
Okay.
if that's what the will of council.
Yes, Ms. Abdo?
If we did adopt this, can this be sent to the young woman who came before us A couple months ago, we had a young woman come before us who was trying to
Yes.
do this, and you probably have her name.
She never came back.
Well, she's probably still working on it.
Yeah.
But I would hate for her to come here again and then say, oh, by the way, we already adopted this in the interim.
Right, yeah, she
So-
hasn't come back yet, but we can forward this to her.
That would be what
yeah.
I thought would be nice. Thank you.
So if I may, Madam Chair,
Yes.
and this is first reading, did you want to add the additional processing?
I was just curious, that I hadn't had a chance to talk to you about it or anything, so I just had a couple questions.
Right.
You don't have to?
Okay. This is just a written document, something that we have, for guidelines, just so that we can have an ordinance on this subject.
Okay, and the motion is by Ms. Makowski, supported by Ms. Roscoe, to introduce an ordinance providing for the procedure for council to consider a vacation of a street or alley. Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Crown?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carried.
6A2. Before you, we're asking council to adopt a resolution to approve the fire department's proposed updates to the fee schedules. The changes, what's printed in red is what you've already adopted. The proposed amounts are printed in blue. We do have Deputy Chief Kevin Kraus here to answer questions if council does have questions regarding the fee schedule.
I think we need the motion first, right?
Yes. Yes.
So moved. To approve the proposed updates to the fee schedule.
Or,
Do you have any other discussion on
I had
this?
a question.
Yes.
So you're saying that as I look under current fees and there are no numbers, the numbers that they're read are staying what the fees are?
Right, currently, yes.
Because I thought I would like to know
No.
what the other fees were.
was my question.
That was
So-
just the worksheet we were working from, but,
And what's in blue has been increased?
right.
But you
those are
don't
the
tell us
proposed fees.
what it was prior to being increased? Or am I not reading this right?
That part, we can ask Deputy Chief Kraus on that part. They're in color just so that you can see what's already been, so we can differentiate with those fees.
Evening. I don't believe in that format that we were using with the clerk's office, that the previous fees were in there. The blue fees are either new or increases to what we had prior.
But the point being, Kevin, I'd like to know what they were increased from, and we don't have that in front of us, is my question. At
Correct.
first, when I looked at the document, I thought everything was increased and there was
No,
no
no.
prior numbers in there. I mean, it's not, I mean, I can vote for this, but I'd like a document to tell me what these things were increased from.
I can get you the previous numbers that were.
I would appreciate it. Okay.
Okay, we can
problem.
provide that.
Yes.
I have a question, just because I don't know, and so if there's an accident, how does this work? Do they bill the insurance company, or?
Correct. Under Michigan no-fault law, anytime there's an accident, the cost recovery bills for the actual accident get distributed amongst however many vehicles are involved in the accident. So if there's 3 vehicles, the cost of the bill gets split between all 3 parties because of Michigan no-fault law.
And so, if you have car insurance and you keep up with your insurance, they cover it all?
Correct. Yes.
So then it's not the responsibility of the homeowner?
Correct.
Okay, and that goes for the ambulance, for everything here? Anything that has to do with the accident?
Anything with, yes, correct. Anything with an auto accident is covered under the Michigan no-fault auto laws.
And then I would assume a fire in the home falls under homeowners?
Homeowners insurance, correct.
Okay. Now, if somebody doesn't have proper coverage, then they would be responsible for it, I would assume?
We do, we've set this up as insurance-only billing. So if your policy has a $500 rider on it and the cost of the services for the fire were $3,000, we bill the $500 and then the $2,500 gets written off.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
sorry, Madam Chair, just through the chair, Councilman Wadsworth, can we email, or would council might, if we email the difference, you know, what?
Email don't work, remember?
We'll make your email work. Can we email those?
Didn't work? I couldn't find my son to help me. He'd gone to work, so
If we can get your email to work, will you accept an
Sure.
email from us?
that's that thing with the little flag on the computer, right?
There you go, you got it.
So, in the meantime, motion is by Ms. Makowski, supported by Ms. Roscoe, to accept the fire department proposed updates on their fee schedule. Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes,
And I will vote yes. Motion is carried.
6A3, Finance Director Suzanne Marino is requesting a one-hour study session on Monday, September 28th, 2015. And this is to discuss the Downriver Utility Water Authority, formerly known as the Downriver Sewage Disposal System, the proposed rate increases affecting all of the downriver communities' sewage customers. We have a time slot that's available for 6:30.
so move for September 28th, 2015, at 6:30.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Makowski, to schedule, at the request of the Finance Director Suzanne Marino, to schedule a study session to discuss Utility Water Authority proposed rate increases for September 28th at 6:30 PM. Any discussion, other discussion on this? Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes,
Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion is carried.
6A4 for first reading, and this is an amendment to the Romulus Code of Ordinances, Chapter 36, Offenses, Article 2, Section 36-30, false alarms. And the amendment is to change the name from false alarms to nuisance alarms.
Chair, I'll make that motion for first reading to approve to amend Romulus Code of Ordinances, Chapter 36, Offenses, Article 2, Section 36-30, change name of false alarms to nuisance alarms.
Support.
Motion is by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Makowski, to introduce an ordinance to amend Romulus Code of Ordinances, Chapter 36, Offenses, Article 2, Section 36-30, to change the name from false alarms to nuisance alarms. That's the only amendment in this entire ordinance. Any other discussion? Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
yes,
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion is carried.
6A5 for first reading. This is another amendment to the Romulus Code of Ordinances, Chapter 22, Article 3, Fire Lanes, Sections 22-57 and 22-59, and also in Chapter 22, Article 9, Outdoor and Open Burning, Section 22-261.
Chair, I'll make that motion to accept first reading to amend Romulus Code of Ordinances, Chapter 22, Article 3, Fire Lanes, Section 22-57 and 22-59, and Article 9, Outdoor and Open Burning, Section 22-261.
Support.
Discussion.
Yes. Go ahead.
Discussion. Yes, with reading this, I just wanted to talk to the administration about perhaps that maybe we could do an educational piece on television about the open burning in Romulus. I have the whole ordinance, and I see my neighbors constantly.
We're on it already. Actually, I asked our team, when did I ask
Thank
you to do that?
Great minds think alike.
A couple weeks, and we're gonna be airing that because this is the time of year
Leaf
that
burning.
burning happens, so they're doing a PSA. Have they shot it yet, do you know? Okay. So they will be doing that and
I
on the
appreciate
same track.
specifically leaf burning. People think it's,
Exactly, yes.
oh, you're allowed to do that, and it's, so that would help us. Thank you. That's it.
This is a motion by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Makowski, to introduce an ordinance to amend Romulus Code of Ordinances, Chapter 22, Article 3, Fire Lanes, and Section 22-57 and 22-59, and Article 9, Outdoor and Open Burning, Section 22-261. And this amendment does not change any of the language of the ordinance. It only changes that the fire chief and his designated person in each of these sections does not change any of the other language. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion carried.
And 6A6 for first reading. An amendment to Romulus Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Article 6, Departments, Section 2-389D, authorize personnel to issue violations of Chapter 2 and 22 as designated in these sections of the city code.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Oh, go ahead.
So
Support.
move, so move for reading to amend the Romulus Code of Ordinance, Chapter 2, Article 6, Departments, Section 2-389D, authorize personnel to issue violations of Chapter 2 and 22 as designated in these sections of the city code.
Support.
Is there any discussion on this motion? Motion is by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Makowski, to introduce an ordinance to amend Romulus Fire Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Article 6, Departments, Section 2-389D, authorize personnel to issue violations of Chapter 2 and 22 as designated in these sections of the city code. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion carried.
Under the clerk's report, for your information, I've provided copies of 2 notices from the Liquor Control Commission. One notice is regarding a transfer of ownership, and the other is a denied request. Other than that, that will conclude the clerk's report. 6B is the treasurer's report.
Good evening, council, clerk, deputy, and audience. I'd just like to remind everyone that tax bills are due September 30th, and our office is open 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. So you can pay them there at the office. You can use our drop box, or if you're going to mail the payment, make sure that you mail it to the city of Romulus. If you have an old envelope that has the Detroit address on it for the lockbox, please disregard that. Make sure that your payment is being mailed to the city of Romulus. Thank you.
Number 7 is public comment, and this is the portion on our agenda that is open to the public for you to make your public comments. If you'd like to do so, please raise your hand, and after being acknowledged by our chairperson, approach the podium, and we ask that you state your name, address, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Madam Chair, we do have one written request, and that's from Jim Henderson. Mr. Henderson, if you could please approach the podium.
Some stuff?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Well, good evening. My name's Jim Henderson. I live at 7189 Taft Street for Romulus. I came here to request for immediate enforcement of the cease and desist order issued 24 June 2015 against the neighbor of mine at 7171 Taft, top building maintenance. Last winter, without permits, construction was completed next to my home. The combination of the illegal fencing, 2 external building, and roughly 30 yards of crushed rock, hot top added, has damaged my home severely. The addition of the parking lot now drains its water to my backyard, causes standing water against the home in 3 different places. In mid-March, the floors of my home sunk 1 3/8 inches, sucked the wood stove right out of the ceiling. I have a crack from the front steps through the front ceiling, doors, over the ceiling, down the hallway, roughly 24 feet. There's a lot of other cracks formed in the rooms, the kitchen saved so far. My garage facing the construction has endured standing water against it for months. The 48-foot wall is sinking, moving, walls, floors, ceilings are cracking. My basement's wet, I assume it's cracked. I'm still kind of looking for that one. As per the own zoning ordinance, this can't be done in an R1B residential. The permits were denied in all these projects. They were accomplished anyway. As per Romulus site drainage requirements, a site drain plan must bear the seal and signature of a civil engineer or land surveyor registered to practice in the state of. It's required. It was not done. They got a guy with a backhoe and a stick. Allowing Top Dog to perform work without a site plan has made the problem worse. I live 150 feet from the Freeman Drain, but the addition of the crushed rock and other structures forces triple water to my property. Removal of these items is required to restore proper drainage. Without including the probable basement damage, my repair costs are up around $30,000, and I can't start anything until the water goes away. As a disabled veteran on a small fixed income, this is over my head. I'm planning eventually to vacate and lose the home. So I'm going to ask again, why can't we make the water go to the Freeman Drain? That's why we have a Freeman Drain. Thank you, folks, for the time and effort.
Mrs. Chokes?
Yes, Mr. Wadsworth.
If I could, to the mayor or to Bob, we were told 6, 7 weeks ago, the night that he was supposed to appear, that the situation had been resolved. And obviously, Mr. Henderson has done his homework.
Now, we were made aware of the situation in June. That's when the cease and desist was placed. We were immediately contacted by the owner of Top Dog Construction, went to the site. I also had to sit down in our office with his and his attorney, let him know that none of the expansion on his property or his occupancy was approved. At that time, our biggest concern was to alleviate the water and the drainage issue for Mr. Henderson's site. He had asked for time to vacate. He signed a lease in Allen Park so he could move his company there. He removed the building, portion of the parking lot, and in lieu, or kind of the trade-off for time to get out of the site was to take care of the water issue. I think he was out there again last week to remove some more of the gravel and the millings in the parking lot. His intention is to remove that and return it to its natural state. So,
But I mean,
so the
his
owner of-
intentions and what he's done, I mean, is the
He's
question.
removed an entire building. I mean, he's removed an entire building, a large portion of the parking lot. He's had Lucas Excavating come in and install some grading issues, so he's still working to attain it, although sometimes not as fast as we'd like. He's working to comply. We feel at this time if we were to issue citations or to encumber the courts with this, he'd simply go there and say, well, look, I've already contracted, I've signed a lease, I'm vacating, I'm in the process of, so at that
All right,
time.
well,
So, and as soon as Mr. Henderson made us aware of the situation, we went to the site. Like I said, we had his attorney come in there, we made him aware of the situation, and at that time, once he seen that he was denied application and never had approvals from the city, he agreed to remove the property, which is something we usually don't hear often. Usually we gotta write citations to compel some kind of compliance.
is
but,
he gonna go back and take up the stone that's blocking the drain, or
Yep.
how soon?
The
I
stones will be
mean,
removed. I think he was out there last week to remove I'll run by the site first thing in the morning tomorrow just to make sure, but he's been in contact with our office. He's worked with Lucas Excavating also over off of Middlebelt Road. And they're the ones handling most of the situation for him, so I'll make sure that I attend the site first thing in the morning also.
Question to the chair, please. So it's good that he's working with you, but I'd like to understand when. What's his project timing to complete all this stuff?
December of this year.
So I gotta pour concrete in the middle of a ground frost? I need this stuff gone. I need to work on my home.
Okay.
You're pushing me right into a ground frost, Bob. I can't fix it if it keeps cracking.
Well, I will go back out to the site first thing in the morning tomorrow, see where we're at.
Okay. Can you get back with us?
Anything else?
Can you get back with us on that then?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from, yes, Ms. Stewart?
Good evening, Gina Stewart, 1074 West Jefferson, River Rouge. I just had two questions from the ordinances, because I didn't understand what they are. On number 5, it was for the fire lanes. I didn't understand what exactly is that ordinance.
Given the lieutenants in the fire department the authority to write fire lane violations and hydrant violations. Right now, only the chief and deputy chief, I believe, can write citations for those.
So this is right to
give some additional personnel the authority to write tickets for those violations.
okay.
And we needed that to help with enforcement, so.
Okay, and then also for the number 6, same thing for authorized personnel to issue violations?
All three of them were for that.
Same thing, to have additional people to do that? Okay. Also, on the fire department one, it was I guess these were increases in the fee schedule for the fire department, so is it comparable to the neighboring
It is.
cities?
The billing company that we work with, Acumed, we sat down with them and we did a survey of the 7 surrounding communities. And I took the averages of their fees and made them the average of all the communities versus taking the highest or lowest. And we just established our fee schedule a year ago. So when we first established that, it was kind of a shot in the dark where we were gonna be at. We've done it for a year and now we're reevaluating and bringing it to best practices.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
Kevin, for the sake of the people at home that didn't hear that, could you just give a quick explanation there? Just so if they heard her question and didn't hear that answer, please? Thank you.
So the question was whether or not we did a comparison to surrounding communities when we increased the fee schedule. And we did do that. We worked with Acumed, which is our billing company. We did a evaluation of the 7 surrounding communities that also bill. And we took the average of all of their fees and included those into our fee schedule. And then the ordinance questions was just to expand our scope of authority for our lieutenants and above, up to the fire chief, to be able to write ordinance violations when it comes to parking, fire parking or fire lane, hydrant, or open burn policies. This allows, since we're a 24-hour operation and the administration isn't there, currently the ordinance read that only the fire chief could write those, and we have lieutenants that are here after hours that are capable of doing that also.
Thank you, Kevin.
Do we have any other comments from the audience? Guess we can close that.
Number 8 is unfinished business.
Mrs. Jokes?
Yes, Mr.
Just a quick comment, and I compliment Dennis on talking about the bingo for the animal shelter, but we're still looking for volunteers, and we hope to have anywhere from 4 to 6 kittens there that'll be adoptable. And if anybody wants to donate anything that we can sell, we're open to that too. Thank you. Pop, chips, anything.
Number 9 is new business.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yes, I would like to request a memorial resolution for Daniel Hurst. Daniel Hurst was a principal at Romulus High School for many years. as well as a teacher in the district.
So moved. Support.
Thank you.
The motion is by Ms. Abdo, supported by Mr. Wadsworth, for a memorial resolution for the family of Daniel Hurst.
Just a quick comment about Mr.
Yes.
Hurst. He was there when all of my three sons went through the school system, and he was part of their growing up process in the Romulus schools. And he was an excellent person, excellent teacher.
Madam
Madam Chair?
Chairman? Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ellen.
Sure. No, I just want to compliment those who organized memorial, the setup at the high school. I know our superintendent, Margie McAnally, and Carol Bales was part of that group. You know, what a way to just say goodbye to Mr. Hurst, who was so committed to education, you know, and, you know, at the high school. And so we just want to compliment all those who really put together that memorial service. And our thoughts and prayers, of course, are with, you know, his wife Kathy and the children. And, you know, I can say at least I had the pleasure of working for Mr. Hurst for 7 years, and as well as him being the principal when my children were attending school.
Chairman?
Any other, yes?
Yeah, I just want to also, kudos to the school. They did a nice job, and it was packed. They had the auditorium available for viewing because he touched so many people here. I know Dan Hurst, he was my 8th grade science teacher, and, took us on a field trip up north, and he made, and everybody, I heard different stories. I couldn't make it to the memorial. I did take a proclamation, gave to Kathy. We did name the day after him, which meant a lot to their family, and I told them that council would be taking action and everyone would be signing the resolution, and we get that to the family. Kathy, who grew up as a Bergmoser, and the Bergmoser family, who had a lot of family members here in town. But I would just ask, still continue to keep him in your thoughts and prayers. This was not expected. He was a great guy, impacted a lot of people in our community, and just keep him in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you.
Any other comments? Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Number 10 is communication.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
A couple I wanted to cover, and one thing I didn't cover too on the dog park, the key to that was U.S. Ecology's donation. They made it possible. We used our own workers, and they gave, Chief, $8,000, donated money to do that, and it was nice to give her kudos. Chief did a great job working with them on that whole project, but I do want to make sure they get recognized for the monies that they donated. Also, I wanted to bring up, we took our staff today to Special Tree Rehabilitation, a local business here in Romulus. They do a lot of great work. And it came up earlier, we talked about the no fault and the collection of that, but he made a point to our team. They do spinal cord rehabilitation, and they take anybody from who's been completely paralyzed from spinal cord to the point where they can eventually live on their own. And they do some, miraculous things there. It was a top-notch facility, but Joe Rickert, their CEO, gave a talk to our staff and basically said how important this no-fault law is, and that basically their business is based on the fact that we're a no-fault state. So when you hear people in Lansing talking about doing away with no-fault, you heard earlier how it covers costs for some of these services. Remember that there are people that, and it hit me hard because young males in a lot of cases who tend to do things in vehicle accidents, they get paralyzed, how texting can cause. I'm going to make sure my kids know, you don't text and drive. It's not worth it. Some people go to that facility and don't leave. So the rest of their life has changed. But the point I want to make is research the no-fault law. He was very adamant that there's some talk of changing things, and without funding from the no-fault fund, it could, destroy the rehabilitation that we offer to people that really, really need it. So it was really an interesting tour, and I think we all took away some things. So I wanted to share that with you on a serious note. And also to John Barden, hope he's recovering. I know if John was here, he would mention something about the Lions at this point in the meeting, because they're kicking off their season, starting shortly. I know college kicked theirs off. So, John, hope you're doing better. Put your Lions hat on. Get ready for a great season. Thank you.
Thank you.
Couple things.
Yes, Ms. Ruska?
First of all, I want to remind everybody, the Pumpkin Festival, Saturday and Sunday morning, Boy Scout troop, along with their Cub Scout troop 872, will have their world-famous pancakes. So come out and have breakfast before you go through all the booths and all the different events we have going on for the Pumpkin Festival. And also, on Saturday, they're going to be assembling the longest plastic cap chain, trying to beat the Guinness World Book of Records. So that's going to be interesting to see them sit and do that all day. They wanted to let everybody know their goal was 100,000 caps. They have over 300,000 caps, just containers full. The big new garbage cans that we have, the waste management cans, just full of these caps. And they've been, what amazes me, they have to drill a hole in each one of those caps. So when they get ready to assemble it, they can do that. But anyways, come out and watch them do that. I want to see them get done with that. I asked them how long it should take. They said they wanted to be done by 6 o'clock in the evening. I'll see if that happens. But anyways, come out and see where all your caps went. And other than that, just mark it on the calendar and make sure you come out. And don't forget that the first weekend in October is our yard sale weekend, because a lot of people have asked if we're having another free yard sale weekend, and we are. And the rain dates, of course, will be the following weekend.
Ms. Choke,
Yes,
if you're celebrating a birthday in September, happy birthday to you.
thank you. Any other discussion? Any more communications? Guess we can close that.
Number 11 is adjournment.
So moved.
Support.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Kraft?
Yes.
Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
I vote yes. We are adjourned.